You're listening to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by Callum, Alum, and James in the studio. How you going, guys?
Yeah, not bad.
Not bad. We're going to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse?
Across
the Spider-Verse.
Yes.
Adjacent to the Spider-Verse. Yes.
Animated Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Right?
Animated.
That's the best way to put it, because there's too many Spider-Mans going
I just
on.
call it Spider-Verse 2.
Spider-Verse.
You just call it Spider-Verse 2?
Yeah.
It's just the one with the cartoony look. Not the one with Tom Holland. Not the Sam Raimi one.
Not the
And
Andrew
not the
Garfield.
terrible one.
Yeah.
And not the many animated TV shows.
Yeah.
Yes.
The movie.
The movie.
Yeah, so last week we had a real bummer, which is Quantumania. And this week it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
We've got a magnificent movie. So hopefully that'll be good. The first movie, Into the Spider-Verse, came out in 2018. We reviewed that back on the old show. We all love that movie. It's great. I rewatched it a couple of days ago before seeing the new one. And I'm like, this is a 10 out of 10 perfect movie. The first one.
I rewatched it yesterday. It's so good.
It's so good.
Having, like, obviously before we get into it, having just rewatched the first one, I'm still not sure which one I like more.
Well, that's the thing. Across the Spider-Verse, the second one, I'm like, it's as good, if not better. So if the first one is a 10 out of 10 perfect movie, this one, I don't know what it is, 11 out of 10, 12 out of 10. Awesome. It's a movie so good that when it ended, I was kind of in shock.
Yeah.
I was just like, the credits is just like, you know, when a movie's either really good or really bad, you have a lot to talk about on either side.
Yeah.
But if a movie's just kind of meh, it's like, you got nothing to talk about. You're like, whatever.
Yeah.
This movie was so good that I'm like, it kind of circles back. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I said to Nathan during the film, I was like, they are visually striking films. Like, I'm watching it, and the way the color palettes change depending on the mood of the scene, like everything in the movie adjusts the look and vibe of each scene. And it's just incredible to watch. It's a feast.
The first one had this great, unique kind of hand-drawn, kind of computer, kind of comic booky, kind of this mixture of animated styles. And it was amazing. And it also influenced a whole bunch of animated movies that came out afterwards. Before I saw the movie, I saw it separately to you guys with another friend of mine who's a big Spider-Man fan. Before the movie started, he said, I reckon this time, now that the first one's so successful, I reckon the second one, they'll be able to really, really go for it with the animation. And I'm like, but the first one kind of did that. And he's like, no, they're going to really let loose. The movie starts, and it's just like so crazy, like all this. Gwen Stacy's world is all like this watercolory, kind of based on her.
We have a term for that. It's the astigmatism chic.
Yeah.
Explain.
So, right, when you have an astigmatism.
Oh,
with
in your
lights,
eye.
It's got all the kind of flares
the
out.
glaucoma.
Yeah.
The glaucoma special.
And that was like
glaucoma.
that first kind of universe. Just like someone with astigmatism, just like,
It's a
this is
very
how I
common
see
visual
lights.
impairment.
Someone's eyesight's really bad, but like, this is how I
I have
see.
astigmatism, okay? It's fine.
Yeah.
No, we all do.
Yeah. I have a lot of
Whenever you look at the light
stigmata.
lamp at night, you see the different like lines come out of it.
Yeah.
And that's the shit. But no, the way it was described to me for the first film by a more nuanced individual was basically that you could pause it at any moment, and that could be a comic book frame.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And that's exactly true for the second movie
But
as well.
that's what I was getting
It's delicious looking.
That's what I was getting at, is the second one truly goes for it with the animation.
Yeah.
I turned to my friend, I said, that's a blank check movie. The first movie did so well that the producers, the studio,
Whatever you need.
was like, just go for it. And they did. Like, there's so much going on. There's so many different animation styles and colors and things and lighting and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, and it all works so perfectly. And that's just how the movie looks.
Yeah.
Then you've got how the movie sounds, which the soundtrack for the first movie was great. And it's potentially even better this time around. The sound, like the sound design.
Was there a singular song, though, in this movie? The first movie had like Sunflower with Post Malone. Right?
Yeah. And see, that's actually what I was talking about for the show, and you told me not to hold it in. That's the only thing I think the first one does better was the soundtrack. I think that like Sunflower was a breakout success,
Like that.
and it's.
But this movie had bangers as well.
Oh,
It's just
yeah.
it didn't have maybe that one song that
standout.
that
plays.
sort of chart topper. Yeah.
Yeah, or at least off the top of my head,
Yeah,
I
I
can't
don't remember one. Yeah, but like Sunflower, I hit for everyone when that
Yeah,
movie came.
I don't
out.
even like that song, and I love it in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my point. I'm like,
Yeah.
I didn't get. There was not one specific song apart from there was like one gentle theme during the movie I heard. I thought was really
Yeah.
nice. But apart from that, I didn't. Yeah.
I'm glad we chose to see it in extreme screen as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We've got
yeah.
the bigger screen, like
Oh,
Dallas pop.
if you're
the
if you're
sound.
listening to this and you haven't seen if you haven't seen the first one, do so
It's
immediately.
it's on Disney
It's on
Plus,
Disney
and if you have a good TV, it's in 4K Dolby Vision with the Dolby Atmos and everything. It's
so
it's great
definitely
film.
watch that. But then if you're kind of like us and be like, oh, I don't want to spend too much on the cinema anymore, Across the Spider-Verse is
Is worth-
120 million%
Worth it.
worth seeing on the big screen.
Even if you have to sneak in.
No, pay for it.
Look, pay for it,
Give-
ideally.
Sony screws up so much. This is the one good thing they've done.
Look, if if you genuinely can't afford it, sneak in for it.
We do not condone Alan.
It's in the spirit of the
Hey,
film.
it's,
Okay?
it's art, all right?
It's Punk.
It's art.
It's
and
punk,
So,
that's what I was gonna
Spider
Yeah.
Punk. Oh, we'll talk about him later.
and so people should, get it by any means necessary.
Yeah,
sees the means.
but
of
actually, yeah,
viewing.
see it by any
Yeah.
by any means necessary. But yeah, like this movie is so good, I find it hard to put into words, and I'm sure we'll ramble on for the next hour about how awesome it is.
Yeah.
But I was just like
I do think the best place to see this movie is at the cinema.
at the cinema, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
As soon as it ended, 20 minutes in, I was like, I have to see this again. It's so much going on.
Yeah, there's a lot
it's
to take
assault,
in,
It's
yeah.
like an assault on the
There's so many
subject.
Spider-Man.
I went in
And
dry. All right, I hadn't had anything to drink. I didn't drink. I had something to drink, but I didn't go in there buying like a drink to drink in the
Oh, I
movie
did,
because it's a long movie as well.
Oh,
I'm like,
okay.
I'm gonna keep. I'm
For
not
your
gonna
tiny
overload
bladder,
it, so I
yeah.
don't want to. Not tiny, all right, that's all right.
Hey man, you had to leave twice in the last movie.
It's not as big as the average bladder,
Yeah,
right?
that's it. I didn't have
It's
to
not
go
the
in this-
size, it's how you use
That's
it.
it. I didn't have to go in this movie. Thank you.
Good. Okay, good. So you didn't miss any of the
I done
gloriousness.
goofed as a mistake because... So, I'll wait till I get some more of the spoilers.
Yeah, we'll do
Yeah.
spoilers
Well,
in a minute.
I came from work, so I bought a big drink because I was really thirsty, and boy, do I regret it. I only had to go once, but once is enough. I know I went at a pivotal time.
look.
too.
Okay, so that's kind of what I was gonna. This kind of ties into what I was gonna get at. 20 minutes in, I'm like, I have to see this movie again. After it ended, it's like a 2-hour, 20-minute movie, and they pack a whole bunch of stuff in. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's overwhelming, but it's so well done.
Like the first one, there's a lot of Easter eggs, a lot of things you don't notice,
Oh,
a lot
yeah.
of references. So like
But that's just the background stuff.
Yeah,
I'm talking about
exactly.
just the main stuff.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
still so much.
Yeah.
They pack so much character and
It's-
story and music
look,
and
I'll-
action.
I'll definitely rewatch it if it comes to Disney.
No,
Plus
but
or
that's
something
what I
like
was
that.
getting at.
You wanna
is
go to the
20
cinema,
minutes
yeah.
in, I was like, I have to watch this again. When it ended, 2 hours and the 2 hours after that,
I went and bought another ticket.
I know, I was like, I saw it on Sunday. I was like, I might go again on Monday. And I was like, no, I better not.
Digest a little bit.
I'm thinking, I'm going to let it digest. I'm thinking of going again this weekend, but it's a long weekend, I believe. So it might be too busy. So I might go the weekend after.
Yeah.
But I'm 100% going to see this again at the cinema. I've been trying to save money. I do not care. I will spend money on the ticket again.
I would say
so.
that-
Callum, if you want to come, I'll let you know,
Listeners,
so you can see whatever you missed.
listeners, beware! It is a long weekend coming up as of the time of this recording or broadcast.
Yeah, what's today?
Um,
Tuesday the 6th of June.
Yeah.
And
So
Monday
I'll
the Monday the 12th is King's birthday.
probably wouldn't go
public
Saturday or
holiday.
Sunday because there'd be 10,000 kids. In
Or
the
even
cinema with you.
Monday
Yeah,
because
even Monday,
most
yeah.
people don't have Monday off. So if they get the Monday off,
Hey, do
they
we
might
have
all go.
we have international audiences, right? Not everyone celebrates the King of England.
That's
Well,
true.
I don't
Actually, no,
celebrate the King of
we
England. I
potentially-
celebrate the day off.
We potentially have some listeners in other parts of the world, if we believe
It's
our
hard to tell.
podcast host.
Yeah.
But it's,
Hey,
you know,
if you're from if you're not
If
from
you're-
Australia,
I'll bring
let
up
us
the-
know in the comments.
it's one specific area.
There was one guy from South Africa who liked our page one time years ago.
Represent, even though they probably celebrate the King of England's birthday, right?
Are they part of the Commonwealth?
I think so.
I don't
Well, they
know.
were at one point.
They
at
were at
least.
one point.
Yeah, what were we talking about?
We're talking about the long weekend.
Talking
now.
about going to see it
It's
again.
not necessarily
Yeah.
a long weekend, but
Well, that's why usually we go see Monday night because it's quieter.
yes.
But even this Monday night will be public holiday, so I'm like, I might be too busy, too many screaming kids.
No.
I might go the week
Yeah.
after. But yeah, I really want to see this again because it's so freaking good.
It's worth a repeat.
I
viewing.
saw the first one twice as well, like in the cinemas.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it. Again, if you're genuinely in a situation where you can't afford a ticket, see
See it. We talked
See
about
it
it.
however you can.
We talked
Yeah.
about it when Severance came out. If that was our most positive review, this is tied for our most positive review. But we said by any means necessary,
You must watch it.
see
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I did love. There was a guy on Twitter who watched a cam version, and
Oh.
someone responded with,
Oh,
"You don't love yourself
Dude,
enough."
all over YouTube is clips from the movie, and I'm like, how? And they're all cam. And I'm like, I'm not even mad because I get to watch clips from the movie, even though they're like Dutch angle with guys' heads in front.
I mean, look. Allegedly, we have listeners from Virginia and Minnesota. So there you go.
Oh, shout out, Minnesota,
Yeah.
Minnesota, Minnesota. Oh, now
right.
they're not listening anymore
No,
because
that's it.
they
They
hate
turned
me.
us off. We cancelled
Um,
in Minnesota.
but yeah, it's
No.
across the Spider Verse.
Okay. Also, before we get into spoilers, is there anything else you guys want to say before spoilers?
No, just watch it any
One-
means necessary.
Yeah. one more thing before spoilers is this movie. So originally, this movie it was supposed to be Across the Spider Verse Part 1, and then there was
Yeah.
Across the Spider Verse Part
Yeah.
2. So this is even though it's 2 hours 20 minutes long, this Across the Spider Verse is part of a larger story, which the second part 2 has been called Beyond the Spider Verse.
So they changed
the
it
name.
to Into the Spider Verse, Across the Spider Verse, Beyond the Spider Verse.
Exactly, yes. So even though this is the second movie of the trilogy, this is actually part 1 of a 2-part
Yeah, I mean,
ending.
I kind of like how they've changed it because instead of being like it's a sequel divided up into 2 parts, now it's just a trilogy.
Well, also,
Because they're still kind of all.
I like that better
Yeah.
just for the titling, and so it doesn't feel as cynical of like
Yeah.
we're going to split this in 2
Yeah,
so we can make
yeah.
more money. And it's more just this is a 3-part story. But I think it will confuse a lot of people, especially people bringing their kids. The movie ends on a cliffhanger.
Yes, it does.
Like,
Alan got a bit upset about
Yeah.
that in cinema.
I was like, I want half my money back.
and see, because I knew about the Across the Spider-Verse Part 1, Part 2
Yeah.
thing, I wasn't surprised. But I think most people, are going to get a little mad.
Little
But
blue balls.
yes.
I mean, look, to be fair, a 2-hour,
It's-
20-minute movie is probably a little bit much for kids. If your kids are too young, probably don't take them to see this movie.
no, but people
yeah.
are going to do it because
No, yeah, no,
Spider-Man
yeah.
is popular and it's an
Yeah.
animated movie.
But also, if that's what disappoints you, boy, you're in for a time when your kid gets bored.
yeah, no, but like just I think even adults who go to see this movie
Yeah.
and unaware of the 2-part thing, just be aware there's a cliffhanger. So it's like Fast X or whatever. It's just like this is a part of a larger story. It just ends and it's like it literally says to be continued.
And it's also
So-
all about family.
It is.
Yeah, in a sense. Yeah.
Vin, yeah. I was
But
gonna,
they do
I
have
was
a,
gonna make a
they
Vin
do have
Diesel-
a car
Vin Diesel-
Spider-Man.
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
sentient car
Was
Spider.
it, what's his
Yeah.
name? Peter Parked
Spot-
car?
Peter Parker, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Yeah, so it is a cliffhanger. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you go to see it. But luckily, Beyond the Spider-Verse comes out next year.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
So
It's not going to be like another.
I
4
assume
or
they're
5 year
I
wait,
assume
yeah.
they're working on them simultaneously. They
That's-
were working on them simultaneously, and so it's part of this larger epic story.
Yeah.
And this movie is so epic.
It's going to be the coolest trilogy of animated movies just around.
Like
Oh, it's like
the
I
first
said,
one
the
is
first,
so good; it's hard to live up to. But this one, I was like, my mind was blown.
Like,
I'm
yeah, that's-
this is amazing.
I can just imagine like the years down the line watching it on the projector, like doing it Lord of the Rings style.
yeah.
Ah, so cool.
like that's what I said when I'm watching this movie. I said from when it was released, the first one set the bar graphically with its design, its
Yeah.
animation design, and this movie does the same thing with this year. I don't see how another movie can come close in terms of its aesthetic art choices.
yeah, and
That's the thing, yeah,
like you can
'cause
have
most-
Mario, and Mario looks
before-
nice, but this is actual nice art design.
That's exactly what I was thinking before the movie, because it's technically still a kids animated movie, even though it's more
Family.
for everyone. Yeah. Especially nerds like us and Spider-Man fans. Like before the movie, they played the new Pixar trailer, Elemental, and the new DreamWorks trailer for the movie about the Kraken girl. And I'm like, they're just so boring.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I know they're for kids, but just animated wise, it's just like stuff you've seen before.
Yeah.
And story wise, it's just like the same boring cookie cut thing you've seen before. Spider-Verse is different. Not only stylized is it better, the animation, but it's so well written.
Well, what's funny is for our session, we saw the new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles trailer.
Yeah, we saw
and
that.
I was like, you can see the inspiration came from,
see?
ironically.
Yeah, you can see the
And I was like,
animation style.
I'm actually keen for that film anyway.
That one looks okay. We might see that.
You know, in the offices somewhere in the studios, there's some artists going, see, producer, it can be done and make money.
Yeah, but it's not just the animation style.
The producer's like, get out before I can fire you for some AI.
Yeah.
Oh, it's like that meme where the guy
Whoops.
suggests something good and they throw him out the window.
Yeah.
Which is happening across studios all across America. But what was I saying?
We're
It's
talking
not
about
just-
the art.
The
not
art style.
just- yeah.
It's not just the art style. Both Into the Spider-Verse and especially Across the Spider-Verse are so well written.
Yeah.
It puts almost every other superhero movie in existence to shame, especially all the MCU stuff.
Especially the recent stuff.
Especially the recent stuff.
Yeah.
But even my favorite MCU movie, I'm like, none of it has come close to Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse.
I think
Where you at it with No Way Home?
No Way Home,
Yes.
I liked it,
Very good.
Well, see, I think the
but
difference
it's not
is,
as good as any
No,
of the Spider-Verse.
No, it's not as good as this.
The difference is this
And it's not as
film-
good as Raimi 1 and 2. Sam Raimi
that
1
was
and
some
2.
special times.
These films, because they can do whatever they want, it's not just they don't have to rely on mise en scene in the same way that like a practical film does. They can do everything in their power to enhance the emotional impact of
There's
a scene.
definitely
right?
more, what's
So-
the word I'm looking for?
Opportunity.
No, yeah, because it's animated, you can definitely play more with how things look and the colours and stuff.
Because they're
But-
masters of it, like they are straight up masters at this point.
Yeah.
The people behind these films.
Yeah.
It's like to boost an emotional scene, they'll change the color palette of a scene.
Yeah.
Not just the music.
Not just
Normally-
the color palette, but just the whole background will just change into like a solid color.
Yeah,
with
that's
like
what I mean.
Dripping kind of paint
Yeah.
look. Or,
So you get these sometimes abstract things which heighten the mood.
And then the villain, one of the main villains, has this kind of bit where he goes into this black and white kind
Yeah.
of scratchy kind of like a sketchy.
Yeah.
And because every
hand drawn.
every Spider-Man is from a different universe.
They each
in the
have a slightly
multiverse.
different
They
aesthetic.
each they each have a slightly different animation style.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. And it's just so even Spider-Punk, like he just himself has so many different layers.
Spider-Punk was interesting because singularly as one of the characters, it's almost like they just cut out a page of a comic book and he's kind of flat, but it works really well.
No, but that's the thing. He's not just one
but
cut
it-
out. He's
no,
just
but it
like several
changes,
cut
yeah.
out. And
Yeah.
apparently they animated different parts of him
Yeah.
at different frame rates.
Yeah.
Apparently it took
His
3
jacket.
years to just
Yeah.
get him right.
yeah.
His jacket animates at a different frame rate
Yeah,
than the rest
and
of
he's
him.
just all, he's like a scrapbook of
Yeah.
different, it's
and
awesome.
it looks fantastic.
Yeah. So yeah, not only visually is it so much more better and more creative than
Well, I think the villain at the start kind of set the expectation for the art, right? With
Oh, the vulture.
the vulture
Yeah,
at
the
the
vulture,
start.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
That was incredible.
It's intricately
But
designed.
that's the thing. It's like that's the first 20 minutes. I was
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
wow, this is overwhelming.
Yeah.
And then it just goes crazier from there. And yet you never lose sight of the motivations or the emotional stakes. The stakes in this movie is so high, and every character is like well developed, and you always know where the characters are going, what they need to do, the goals, and it's so well written.
yeah.
And so it puts even like non superhero movies to shame how good it is.
I think it's
And-
probably because it's a passion project first. Like I imagine that to them, it's like to Chris Philip Lord and Chris
Lord
Miller.
and Miller, yeah.
Yeah, it's their baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like a studio film in the sense that like any
It's
one of the
definitely-
MCU movies
yeah,
are.
it's
Where it's like, you know, a Kevin Feige, for
A
example,
factory-
will be like, we need this guy to be the villain because we need to
That's-
set up this film. This is their film. They're
That's-
making it how they envision it.
that's 100%. Like I was talking to my friend after we saw the movie, and we were saying even the MCU movies because they're just content to churn out.
They have the 10-year plan. They have to
Yeah,
hit the beats
exactly.
on it.
They have to stick to certain story beats, and they can't say in certain things here, and characters can't do certain things because it might screw up the larger universe or whatever.
Continuity, yeah.
And they want to be safe and whatever. But I'm like, just visually, all those movies look the same, and they're all very boring and flat. One of the reasons, you know, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man are better, or Tim Burton's Batman, or, you know, Guillermo del Toro's Hellboy are better kind of superhero movies. One, because they're better written. Two, because that came out when practical effects were more of a thing. But also just like they're made by real filmmakers with a real eye, and they're visually interesting and they're visually different. Yeah. And MCU movies and DC movies, like, they don't do that. So even though the stories, even if the MCU story is good, visually you know what you're getting. It's the same as all the other movies. Whereas with Spider-Verse, I'm like, even if Spider-Verse was a live action movie and looked the same as No Way Home, visually, whatever. No Way Home wasn't particularly, but the script for Spider-Verse is so much better than No Way Home or any other MCU thing. Yeah. It's just like that just elevates it to another level. And when you combine that with the soundtrack and the visuals and the voice work, oh my God, it's the best movie.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I don't know if I can say anything that you haven't already said at this point without going into spoiler territory.
I was kind of low energy at the start. I'm like, Quantumania wasn't good, but this one will be good. I'm like, now I'm back, baby.
Best,
energy.
We said that
Spider-Verse gives me life.
We said that Into the Spider-Verse was like the best example of a multiverse movie.
Yes.
Where it's like, no, Across the Spider-Verse is even better on the multiversal front because we get to see so many different Spider-Men.
Yeah, because like, I remember when, Doctor Strange, Everything Everywhere All at Once came out. I'm like, it's such a good multiverse movie because it uses the multiverse well, and it also uses the multiverse to develop the characters, and the multiverse is almost secondary to the story and the characters.
Yeah, it's a tool.
Yeah, and then Doctor Strange, Loki had already come out, and that was fine, but the multiverse wasn't really a thing.
Yeah. Again, Marvel has that track, but they also can't get too crazy.
Doctor Strange 2 was like, it's called the Multiverse of Madness, and they go to one place and it's boring. And America Chavez, I think was her name, wasn't even a character. She was like a MacGuffin.
I forgot she was in it.
Yeah, it's just like, you don't even remember. And then, even No Way Home, which we all enjoyed, is just like, whatever. The multiverse isn't really... This movie uses the multiverse so well.
Yeah.
Because,
and you see so many different places.
Yeah, because... it's using it to develop the characters in the story. And Miles Morales, the main Spider-Man, is at the center of this.
Yeah.
And each multiverse, it's not just him going there for action's sake or because it's cool. It's just like there's a reason and there's a
motivation.
Yeah, and other characters who are from other universes have
they all have their own motivations driving them through the plot.
Much like Everything Everywhere, it's just like the multiverse is almost secondary. Even though it's such a huge part of the Spider-Verse, I mean, it's in the title, it's just like, it's not really about that.
Yeah.
That's cool, but it's really about Miles and Gwen and Miguel and the other Spider people.
I thought it was interesting that they chose to develop a new cast of supporting characters.
I like
mostly, as opposed to just using the originals from the first film.
Yeah.
Because that's the safe option. But again, they don't really play it
That's
safe.
why most sequels should... in theory, they should be better than the originals, but most sequels are always worse. And one of the reasons is because they just do the first movie again.
I would have liked some
and this
more.
movie really expands.
I would have liked to see some more of Peter B. Parker.
Well,
I think we'll get more.
I think we'll get more in the next movie.
I think we need to be more of Peter B. Parker. All right.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the next movie and Spider-Man Noir, but like this, that's what's so great about this movie is instead of going like, let's just redo the first movie with the same core cast and they have a new villain.
I say that like I didn't love Hobie and
exactly, and the new people are awesome. But I love
Indian Spider-Man. I forget he's just what's his Spider-Man? Does he go by
is Spider-Man India?
Yeah,
like he's
but
called
he doesn't have a
Spider-Man.
specific,
But yeah. But
let's not forget Ben Reilly.
Yeah, we'll talk about him. Don't worry. What was I saying?
The expanding on the casts.
Yeah, so they could have just done the core cast or have more Peter B. Parker. It would have been fine. But I love how they start. The first 20 minutes is just Gwen.
Yeah.
And then it leads into, oh, now it's Miles, and then how they meet up, and then like the first hour of the movie is just like getting back into
putting
those
the
characters
pieces together. Yeah.
developing both Gwen's world and her emotional journey, and Miles's world and her.
You would
and
never
then
get that in
getting-
an MCU film.
No,
Like,
and then they finally get to Miguel, and he's his own guy, and that's a whole nother story, and he's freaking awesome. And then Peter B. Parker rocks up, and it's just like, okay, the mentor's back,
yeah.
and it's like, okay, that works. Because if they just had Peter B. Parker come back at the start, it's like, oh, this is just the first movie again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have this last movie, or the next movie coming out, which presumably more of the characters will be.
Well, it's
Yes.
interesting. So it's like Miguel's motivations are he wants to be with his friends again because obviously he feels so lonely being the only Spider-Man.
Yeah, you
Who
mean
knows-
Miles? You said Miguel.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Miles.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm a racist.
Yes, you are racist.
They're both
sure.
the Hispanic Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly. That's why he's
But
being
there's so
racist.
many
Racist.
Spider-Men to keep track of, man.
Yeah, it is hard. That's why I try to use their names and not their like alter egos, because they're
Yeah.
all just Spider-Man or.
That's what I was like. I would have loved to see a scene where someone goes Peter and like 1,000 guys turn around.
Well, they
They
kind of
did
do that.
that
They
in
do
No
that
Way
with-
Home.
No, they do
Yeah.
that in this film too. And
Like,
they're
everyone
like,
stops Spider-Man.
someone goes, "Hey,
Oh,
Spider-Man,"
and they're
and then
pointing at
everyone
each
looks
other.
around.
It's
yeah.
the pointing meme times a
Yeah.
million. Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that like Miguel.
Miles,
I did it
Miles,
again.
Miles.
Miles. I did it again.
It's just because I just said Miguel a million.
Yeah.
Miguel is Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
Miles is the main character, who's the new Spider-Man,
That's correct.
who's just called Spider-Man. He doesn't have a.
Yeah.
Although
Miles,
technically, he's the ultimate Spider-Man. If you want to get, we won't go into that.
Yeah.
That's too much.
The first movie is about him, learning to be Spider-Man, grow into the role
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. And in this film, it's very much he wants to be back with his friends, but then like his motivation is to get home,
Yeah.
and to do that, he has to prove that he's the best of them.
Yeah.
because he has to beat.
You know
them.
what I love about this movie? We'll get more into it in spoilers, but it's a movie about all the Spider-Men in all the multiverses all come together and know about each other, and yet they're all alone.
Yeah,
They all
yeah.
have their own journey. They all have their own slightly different experience.
Yeah,
And Miguel's character is the one trying to keep them all in line.
yeah,
And that's where he butts heads with Miles, who's like, no, we're supposed to be Spider-Man. We're supposed to do the right thing. Who cares about the timeline?
yeah.
Did love
yeah.
the therapy scene though.
Oh, that was
That was
hilarious.
funny.
Let me
Yeah.
guess,
Yeah.
your uncle died.
And then that's like right. Yeah, that's so good.
I'd say we should move into spoiler territory.
Okay,
because
yes,
we've got-
yes. We're like halfway through the show.
Right before we go into spoilers, we're going on a very quick break. You are back on the Tuesday review, talking all things Spider-Man across the universe.
Spider-Verse.
Across the Spider-Verse.
Yes,
In our universe.
same deal.
Hmm.
So we've we've given our thoughts, spoiler free so far. We might
Relatively,
move into
yeah.
spoilers.
Yeah,
Spoiler warning for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, so major spoiler warning, but also if you haven't seen the movie, stop now, go see it, and then come back later. So because probably from now to the end of the show will just be spoilers, so we probably won't put a timestamp or anything. But if you've listened so far, you've got some pretty good stuff, and if you haven't seen the movie, stop, go see it. It's 100%
Amazing. Yeah.
worth every penny.
The ultimate Spider-Man movie.
Yeah. And I can't wait for the next one, my God. Yeah, so spoiler warning for Across the Spider-Verse. Callum, did you want to start about Miles, you were saying?
Oh yeah, his motivation is now like he knows he's the best, or he can be the best. So to conclude his character arc, or so he thinks, he has to kind of prove it, if that makes sense in the story.
Well,
of the
it's
thing.
not that he thinks he's the best. He's kind of struggling on his own, and he basically wants to link up with his friends again because he's lost that support network. And even though he's doing okay on his own,
Yeah.
I mean,
he's kind of lonely,
The conflict.
and he can't tell his parents the truth.
Yeah.
And what's super sad about it is that he finally gets, Gwen brings him into the Spider Society, or tries to, but Miguel doesn't want him.
Yeah, he's still an
And then,
outcast.
and then he finds out that, and then Peter B. Parker rocks up, and it's like he finds out all his friends could come see him the whole time.
They just didn't.
They
Yeah.
just didn't, and it's like that's devastating for him. And he's like, that's why he's like, there's like, no, I'm going to do my own thing. Like he's like, you know what? I don't need you. I'm my own Spider-Man.
I thought it was, so. I never read the Ultimate Spider-Man comics past the point where Miles was.
Yeah,
introduced, 'cause
I never
I read
did,
the first few issues, back when it was like the 2000s comic art. And
Yeah,
kind of.
I read it when it was still just the reboot of normal Spider-Man.
Yeah. So like the Miles storylines. I'm not too clear on the details of his character.
These
arc.
movies kind of take them, but like do them in new ways. It's like it doesn't really follow any comic.
So I thought it was super interesting that they made him himself an aberration. Like he was like the first aberration. So his existence is like
an anomaly.
An anomaly, which I thought was a super interesting way because, like you said, he's alienated in his own world and in the Spider-Verse.
Out of all the Spider-Men and all the Spider-Verses, he's the one Spider-Man who's not supposed to be Spider-Man in his universe.
And I thought that was interesting to he already had that sense of alienation already to double down on that theme. I thought was interesting. So like it becomes his journey to prove to himself that he belongs, that he is a Spider-Man in his own right, as opposed to just a guy who got bitten by a spider.
That's what I was hinting about before with Miguel, Spider-Man 2099. He's like the head of the Spider Society, and he's taken it upon himself to make sure that every Spider-Verse has its Spider-Man and it follows the same canon, the same path, and has the same canon events that every Spider-Man should have.
The loss and that type of thing.
And that's when Miles is like, hang on, you're telling me certain people have to die because it's a big canon moment in Spider-Man's story, and we just have to stand here and let it happen. And he's just like, no, thank you. I'm Spider-Man. We're supposed to save people.
Playing devil's avocado here, all right? The universe will collapse.
No. But that's what I'm getting at is, should you stand by and do nothing? And Miguel, I don't think he's even confident in what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But I think that's what the third movie is going to be about. Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be he's going to save his dad in his universe, and uphold the
integrity,
and the universe will not collapse. And he'll show to Miguel that you can do the right thing. You don't have to do everything just because you're a Spider-Man. You don't have to do everything the same as all the other Spider-Men. And that's also what I like about the live-action cameos in the movie.
Shout out to Don Glover.
Yeah. You see Andrew Garfield. You see Tobey Maguire. They mention Tom Holland Spider-Man, but you never see him probably because of contracty stuff. You see Mrs. Chen from the Venom movies in live action. You see Donald Glover as the live action Prowler, which is not in any movie. He was in Homecoming, but
he didn't have the gear on.
He didn't have
only
the
here
gear.
for that.
So it's like that's cool. And there's like a Lego Spider-Man universe,
which is awesome. Fun fact, animated by a 14-year-old.
Yeah. It was awesome. Like he did such an awesome job.
Took somebody's job.
No, but he's not an AI. He's just a kid.
No, but it's still like they probably.
That could have been a paid union man. That's
he wasn't paid. He took a union
now
job.
He's got to be in the union.
He took a union job. Damn it!
Imagine that on your on your college application at 14. I
animated
for probably paid him with a Happy Meal or something.
Fully animated.
Took a union job. Investigate. Damn it!
What was I saying?
The cameos.
So that's what I like about the live action cameos. Usually in MCU movies, when they do Easter eggs or cameos from other movies or whatever, feels a bit nostalgia baity.
Yeah.
As much as we love No Way Home, a lot of it was he said the thing. That's the guy from the.
I'm something of a scientist myself.
Yeah, and we all loved it. And
we got did we get the dance in this movie, or was that in the first one?
That was the first one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I rewatched them so recently. I'm like,
yeah. He's like, hey, we don't talk about that. He says that at the start. But yeah, like I lost my train of thought again.
You were talking about the
live action
cameos.
Mostly in MCU, it feels very nostalgia baity. Like, hey, it's that guy. Member
berries.
But it drives the source material. It drives the story.
In this,
and the emotional stakes.
Yeah, in this one, it's about the multiverse. But like I said, it's not really about the multiverse because it's about the characters.
Yeah.
2, it's just saying, you know what? Everything's canon. Andrew Garfield, you didn't like those movies? It's okay. Those movies exist in their own time.
That's another great thing about this movie, and the way they deal with the multiverse. And it's like, sure, everything can be canon. You don't like that particular Spider-Man. There's another one just for you.
And that's why I think it's going to tie in with Miles' journey, especially in Beyond the Spider-Verse, the next movie, where he's like, you know what? You don't have to follow the canon. The canon doesn't matter. Miguel's whole thing, it's a bit meta. Miguel's whole thing is like, got to stick to the canon. Otherwise something bad will happen. Got to stick to the canon. And I think Miles is going to be like, you know what? Who cares?
Yeah.
Let's just make a good movie. Let's just have fun. It's kind of a meta commentary on the Spider-Verse is the best Spider-Man movie, and MCU is like,
Miguel.
It's like got to catch
Miguel
up.
is Kevin Feige.
No, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Executives like gotta follow the canon, and then Chris, the Lord and Miller,
Lord and Miller are like,
nah,
Miles
we'll do our
are
own
like,
thing.
do our own thing. Yeah.
It's also, I do want to point out though that it's like the universe won't collapse in on itself because number one, obviously, it's a successful franchise.
Only that one universe will collapse.
Number two,
Yeah.
it's like this comic book staple. The end of the universe, big crossover event.
But I
thing.
think there's multiple times in the movie where Miguel is like, something really bad will happen. And I'm like, does he really believe that? Or is he telling the truth about what happened to his universe?
Yeah. Actually, that's a good point.
You know what? I reckon, because he has that vampire kind of spider disease where he has to like feed on people. Yeah. That he might have gotten shunned from his family. Or
Bob?
It's Bob time.
But he ends up in that, like one of the things, he ends up injecting himself with some.
So Miguel, he has this kind of. He's not like a normal Spider-Man. He has this kind of.
He's like Spider Vamp.
Spider disease where he's got fangs and he kind of has to feed on people, and so assumedly that drug is to keep it in check. Kind of like Blade, how he's like half vampire, half man. He has to inject himself so he doesn't have the blood urges.
He's a really interesting character because it gives him such a viciousness to him. Like he stands out from the rest of the Spider-Man because there's like an innate violence to him.
Yeah, there's something bubbling under the surface. Like you never know when he's gonna snap. And not only does he look really cool and he has like the cool suit and the
blades,
kind of the technology side of it, but he's got the animalistic side of it, and so he's like unpredictable. And he's kind of trying to be the good guy, but he's the antagonist to Miles.
Yeah.
While Spot is like the big overarching universe-ending villain.
You'll rule the day, villain.
Yeah. Yeah. But I really like Miguel in this movie. So cool, and his animations like slightly different. Like all the Spider-Men are different. And Spot is also, he starts as a like comedy villain, and he turns into like terrifying, like universe-ending villain. So that's cool too.
I did enjoy because Miles made fun of him.
Threw a bagel at him. Have you seen all those memes of like the scene from the first movie where he throws the bagel at the random faceless scientist at the lab? Yeah. Bounces off his head. And as soon as it hits his head, they cut to Spot in his like, final form. And it's all black and swirly. Yeah. And there's like... It's hilarious.
Gwen's character.
Gwen, I love all the stuff they do with Gwen. I love how her universe is her kind of influenced by the cover art for her comic book run. It's kind of like this weird watercolory, painty, kind of drippy, and like certain colors, it'll like drain of color, and certain colors will stand out depending on the and it also tie into the emotion of the scene.
Yeah, if so intelligently
if she's arguing with her father, like the background will just turn into this kind of watercolory, painty, rainy kind of drippy thing, and it'll just focus on the raw emotions of the characters. And I love how they develop her character and why she's doing her thing.
In a particular scene when she comes back into her universe after she's obviously left for a while, and she just kind of opens the door and she sees her father kind of sleeping there on the couch. Like that is such a wonderfully kind of devoid of color almost scene. Like there is color to it, but it's so muted. It sets up kind of the depressive mood so well in that. And I'm like, that is some, you really know what you're doing when you can set the mood.
They use this movie isn't. It's not designed as made for kids. It's like this. The art serves the story. It serves everything in this world. It's not just like. It's not like, say, the Mario movie where it's just like, it's just the design. It's
just
like...
go to A to B, fun colours.
It's like, this is like, animation, story, how it's sort
there's
of...
characters.
Man, look, animation used it as best.
Imagine how difficult this movie would have been to storyboard. It does not bear thinking about.
I don't like...
Imagine being in charge of plotting the visual vibe of each scene.
The first movie came out 5 years ago. The fact that this only took 5 years and they're making another one that's coming out next year, I'm like, that's impressive.
Very impressive.
Apparently, it had like the largest crew to ever work on an animated movie, like 1,000 people.
Well, that also doesn't surprise me. As Alan said before, like if you pause a movie at any scene, you've got a perfectly good frame.
Yeah, but when you look at Pixar movies or Disney animated movies or whatever, assumedly those have massive budgets and big crews, and none of them come close to the creativity.
Well, you know what the difference is? It's like you take a 3D film, and keep in mind, me being the expert of all things 3D animation that I am. a 3D model can be like, you can rig it up and then you can program it to move around or whatever. It's hard work. It's real art. It's real animation. But Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse and presumably beyond,
Spider-Verse is a blend of different.
There's actual pencil strokes. It's like some of it is real old school animation, and it's like so you get this mixture of art forms which you'd think it would clash and look ugly and be awkward, but the way that they implement it flows so fluidly. It feels so natural.
Much like the movie's so well written and paced and put together, you never lose track of what's going on, even though it's so hectic. So even it's like the same in visually. It's like there's so many visual changes.
They're not afraid to clash.
Stylization.
Like we were talking about before, the Vulture at the start, where it's like a hand-drawn
Da Vinci
design,
sketch.
kind of like a Da Vinci design.
But that's like the
clashing with the 3D
parchment,
world.
But the clash will be a part of the scene itself. It's meant to clash like that. It's not just awkwardly done. It's like we're going to clash these two different styles together. And
the worlds are gonna collide.
And then they play with that in the scene itself. So it's like, they'll visually clash, but then Gwen will be like, "Oh, you look like you're from some Shakespearean world or parchment or whatever she says." So it's like they reference the clash as well as playing with it in the scene. It's just so, and then and not to mention the 3D also looks amazing in this film too. It looks like it doesn't look any worse for being 3D. When juxtaposed next to the, some of the other styles.
But it's not 3D in the same way that a normal Pixar
movie is. Yeah, it's stylized,
it's more comic booky, and they also comic booky, like they because I've talked about on the show before, I really don't like narration. I think its voiceover is kind of lazy, but the first movie and this movie use it so well. And they
get away with it in this because they have the comic
No, but even before that, just the voiceover, like you get to see, Gwen's point of view and Miles's point of view and Miguel's point of view, and the movie seamlessly transitions to like different voiceovers. Like halfway through the movie, Miguel just starts narrating. Oscar Isaac, moi. And I'm just like, oh, this works so well. And we get to see his kind of warped view of things and his darker. It's just so well. And then on top of that, like Nathan was saying, because of the stylization, they get to use the kind of editor's notes and descriptions that you'd see in a comic book. Like dialogue boxes, thought bubbles. That works so well. And I think even though a live action movie, in the MCU stuff, they want to keep it at some level grounded. I think a lot more comic book and superhero movies need to embrace some
comic
of that
bookiness.
The color.
This film opens by being approved by the comics book code of
the first movie does that as well. So cool. Also, like, the action scenes are so well choreographed and animated.
They are.
When he goes through the portal and he's like in his normal rainy New York universe, and he goes through the portal and he goes into like the Spider-Man India universe. It's got this whole different color palette.
It's what is it?
Mumbattan.
Mumbattan.
Yeah, it's a Mumbai and Manhattan. And that's like a whole, beautiful like metropolis. That has more
like a yellow kind of.
These yellows and greens and different kind of, and that action scene's awesome. And then
and he's the happiest Spider-Man too. Spider-Man India.
He's just so positive.
I saw memes about that. It's like he's like the only happy Spider-Man
without trauma. Yeah. And then Miles saves his, his version of Gwen's,
the canonical
the captain. And is like, so he's like no trauma here. And then Spider-Punk, who's so awesome. We don't really see a lot of his. Anti-fascist. Like. I really want to see like a full movie of like his universe, like anti-fascist, like punk rock.
It'd take 25 years to make if it's all designed the same way he's designed.
Start now, please. So awesome. I mean, there's too many Spider-Man to mention. Those are the main ones. Oh, and Jessica Drew, the Spider-Woman on the motorcycle.
I did think it was kind of odd to have
and Spider-Bite, the AI kind of hologram.
A lot of
girl.
people think that Jessica Drew in this film is awesome, and I like the action scenes with her on the bike are cool. I did think it was a bit of a strange choice to make her pregnant. And
I think that's going to tie into the second movie.
Yeah, but I was like, it's kind of dangerous for a pregnant woman to be like, I'm a fighting supervillain as a pregnant woman. I'm like, no. Have you
seen that meme of the baby in Jessica Drew's belly, and it's that meme of SpongeBob tripping and then falling and flipping, and he just keeps flipping and bouncing around the wall.
But I was like, it's like kind of one awkward bump, and then.
But she's also a Spider-Man, so she's probably
super
stronger.
strength.
She's stronger, and the
Yeah.
baby's probably stronger.
I
And
was
also,
like,
it's
I mean, look,
comic
Peter
book
B.
movie.
Parker doesn't really have a problem with bringing his
Oh,
kid
yeah,
to
he
work.
brings his
Yeah, but
It's
that
all
baby's
the-
also Spider-Man too, isn't it? Doesn't
Yeah.
it also
Yeah.
flip?
No, but
No,
he
he
gave
gave
her the.
But
wrist,
she definitely got spider powers.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, she's got some powers. Yeah.
I thought another great aspect of the film was there's a lot of scenes where they're upside down,
Oh,
Yeah.
right, yes.
and you can see like the subtleness was literally add
The gravity.
the gravity pulling on their
yeah.
face and pulling
Yeah.
it upwards.
That scene when they walk upside down and Gwen and Miles are talking, I'm like, wow.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
know that somebody cares, and it's not just like, oh, we'll just flip the thing upside down and just make it look like it's
Yeah.
upside
Yeah.
down. No, they actually
The
put
hair and the cheeks,
the effect,
kind of
everything
move.
else.
Yeah, oh,
that
man.
is like ultimate kind of caring
So,
about
in
your
a movie
details.
that's so stylized, the emotion of the characters' performances, the voice work, and the animation of the movement of the
Characters.
limbs and the
Yeah.
movement of the facial features is so grounded and effective. You never feel, oh, this is too cartoony or anything. It's always so impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so good. This movie is
I know, doesn't it? Just makes you happy to see films.
like, what other movies did we see this year? This has got to be the best so far. I mean, I'm hyped for Oppenheimer because I'm a Nolan simp, and Barbie I think is
Oh.
going
Isn't
to
that
be
the
good.
IMAX?
I believe
Yes.
so. I think
Yes.
James said we're going to get tickets.
Yeah,
when
we're
as soon
going
as
to
they're
get tickets
say-
for opening day.
Like,
If you guys don't come, I'll go on my own. I don't care.
No, we're all.
And I'm
going
going to get the
no.
expensive tickets, the row
Make
at
sure,
the back.
make sure if you buy tickets, our listeners, if you buy your tickets to Oppenheimer, make sure you buy was it 1570 tickets?
Yeah, IMAX.
Don't
70
buy the
millimeter-
4K laser
Yeah,
tickets.
70
You'll get yourself-
millimeter, 1570. That's the biggest and best way to watch it.
Because they
Um,
also sell tickets for just like your standard session. I'm just like, don't
No,
do
no,
that.
no, yeah.
Love yourself.
Get
Go
the
see-
real-
go
get
see
the
a
real
film
deal.
print, yeah.
Make Nolan a happy boy. Yeah, so, and because there's so many Spider-Man and Spider-People in this movie, there's so many in the background, so many I didn't even know who they were, some who I noticed. There was, the PS4 Spider-Man with the white spider. There was Spectacular Spider-Man from the animated show, which I really liked because that show's really good.
There was the 60s one or whatever it was, that like old cartoon.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was
yeah.
very much 2D.
I didn't see Japanese Spider-Man. I'm hoping if he's not in the background, I'm hoping he shows up in the next movie. Hopefully there's not a rights issue.
I was going to say this movie must have been. I mean, I guess if you got cooperation from Marvel, the comics house and stuff like that, it wouldn't be too bad. But imagine trying to source all the rights and
Oh, it would be a
everything
nightmare.
else you'd need.
I think, I mean, because it's all Spider-Man, you don't have to worry about a lot of other
Apart from
characters.
Venom, maybe
Yeah, Venom might be the one who,
tricks it up a bit.
But yeah, and Ben Reilly, who before
Yeah.
I saw the movie, I was excited because I knew he was in the movie, and I've always loved that kind of era of over the top 90s kind of big hair, big muscles, just kind of ridiculously aggressive
yeah.
comic books. That's like my jam. I've always loved his costume.
Yeah, the Clone
really
Saga
cool.
stuff.
Voiced
Fantastic.
by Andy
And-
Samberg.
Yeah, and then when you see him in the movie, because I tried to avoid anything. I think I watched one trailer and then I kind of avoided everything for the movie, and that was the best way to see it.
I didn't watch
So-
anything for this movie.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither.
So I knew he was in the movie, but I didn't know. I was just excited to see Ben Reilly, and then when he shows up, he's basically just a joke. Like he's
Yeah,
basically
yeah.
a meme. And I was kind of like, you know what? Not even mad. Like it makes
Yeah.
sense for his character. It's very aggressively like
Yeah.
moody. He's got like an emo fringe, and Andy Samberg is dialing up the kind of
It's like if you watch Brooklyn
Angst.
Nine-Nine, when he pretends to be like the detective that's a teddy bear. He's like, I've been undercover for many moons. I haven't known the touch of a woman.
yeah,
Detective Santiago,
yeah.
don't you walk away from me.
It's 100% that. He's like dialing up the
Yeah, I do love it's like a perfect pose.
yeah.
What is it? I'm looking in the alleyway.
Yeah, looking at the wall.
And then he
It's
gets
kind
beat up.
of like Lego Batman. He's aggressively, or Spider-Man Noir in the first Spider-Verse movie.
Yeah.
He's like, sometimes I burn a match down to my
Yeah.
fingers just to feel anything, and it's like that kind of over the top aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Spider-Man Noir isn't in much of the movie. Spider-Ham has like one moment where Miles remembers something he said in the first movie, and Penny Parker, who's like in the Japanese Spider-Girl in the robot suit.
Isn't that a little more?
She has like one small scene, but then at the end they team up. It's like Gwen, Peter B. Parker gets like the old team plus the new team together, and they're gonna help Miles against Miguel and like Ben Reilly and his his other group
The
of Spider-Man.
establishment.
The establishment.
Which, of course, Hobie would be all about fighting the establishment.
Spider-Punk. I like how he's like, there's that void, like the black hole, and it's like swallowing buildings. And it's like, what is that? And he's just like, it's a metaphor for capitalism. So good. Oh, the voice work is so freaking good. And just the way the characters are written. Oh man, so cool.
Go see it.
Probably because it's such a great film. They were like, you can't phone it in when you have. When you're voice acting for something that's so fantastic.
I think it's also like, if you're talented enough to make a movie this well written and this well animated, I think you have people who are talented enough to cast the right people to voice. This is not a Mario movie situation where we need big names on the poster. What's the algorithm
voice
say?
Actors,
Who's trending on Twitter right now? We're going to put them in. No, this is a movie where they're like,
also,
we're going to get celebrities, but they're going to be right, and they're going to do the best voice performance of any animated movie ever.
Not dissing other movies, of course, but the expectation coming to this movie, as you said, it's so well written and animated. The expectation is you have to do your best if you're coming into this film. I think
also certain actors who might not usually do a movie like this probably would have seen the first movie and be like, oh, this is legit. And I think Lord and Miller now have a bit of a clout.
Well, look at the first one. Look at the first one. You know, you've got Nicolas Cage.
They're the guys who made Lego Movie work. Lego Movie they announced Lego Movie and the world collectively groaned and rolled their eyes. And then these guys made it work. It's an awesome movie. Also, J. Jonah Jameson confirmed in Multiverses, which is awesome, and voiced by
he's like
J.K. Simmons. This is awesome.
Like he is like J.K. Simmons, and now just can't kind of leave that. That is him until the day he dies.
And I'm not mad.
Yeah, I'm not mad.
Usually I'd be mad, like, oh, we need a new guy. But I'm like,
he's perfect for
when J.K. Simmons dies, they have to retire the character.
On his tombstone, it's just gonna be like J. Jonah Jameson, not J.K. Simmons.
Where are my pictures, Parker?
The quote is like, I need pictures of Spider-Man.
I need them yesterday. All right, look, we're all out of time. Please go and see this movie. It is
any means possible.
Yes,
that's it.
I'm going to see it again, and I'm sure.
That's it. Look, give it 6 months. Maybe any means possible, any memes possible, because it's going to be everywhere.
Be careful of spoilers out there, people.
Thanks for listening.
Who's your favorite version of Spider-Man? Let us know in the comments. Let us know on social media at Tuesday Review AU
on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Yeah, we're trying to get off Twitter.
But in the meantime,
we still got it.
Send us a picture of a fight video, as that's what Twitter is at this point.
And also, Instagram's our main place because I post like stupid memes so hopefully there'll be a funny Spider-Man thing. Or just a cool clip from Spider-Man or something.
We'll be back next week. Adios, cousins. Thanks for listening.